Lily had always been the quiet girl in school, the one who blended into the background and never drew attention to herself. As a senior, she had grown used to being overlooked, not just by her classmates but by the world around her. While the popular kids were the center of attention, always surrounded by laughter and excitement, Lily was often by herself, tucked away with a book or her headphones in. She found solace in the pages of novels and the soft melodies of her favorite songs, which offered her a sense of comfort that the noisy world of high school never could. Despite her love for books and music, Lily's quiet nature often made her a target. The popular girls, especially Emma, never let an opportunity pass without making fun of her. Emma was the leader of the so-called mean girls, and she and her friends had made Lily the subject of their cruel jokes for years. They laughed at how Lily never wore the latest trends or how she always kept her head down, avoiding their sharp, cutting remarks. Lily's self-esteem had taken a beating over the years. She often wondered why she couldn't be more like the girls in her class, confident, outgoing, and effortlessly beautiful. Prom was just around the corner, and while the entire school buzzed with excitement over the big event, Lily couldn't help but feel a pit of dread in her stomach. She wasn't sure why she even bothered to think about going. She knew Emma and her friends would be there, and they would find a way to make her feel invisible, just like always. But something inside Lily stirred, a small hope that maybe, just maybe, this year could be different. Lily sat at her desk, staring at the prom flyers taped to the bulletin board. The words "prom night" seemed to mock her. She had always imagined what it might be like, dressed in a beautiful gown, dancing under the shimmering lights, feeling like the world was finally looking at her. But deep down, she knew that was never going to happen. She was just too invisible. Her best friend, Emily, was the complete opposite of Lily. Emily was bubbly, confident, and loved the spotlight. She had been talking about prom for months, sending Lily dress ideas and discussing what kind of makeup would look best. Lily had never been as excited as Emily about prom, and part of her even wanted to skip it altogether. What was the point? The thought of showing up, only to be ignored or mocked by Emma and her friends, made her stomach churn. But Emily wouldn't let her off the hook. "You have to come, Lily," she insisted one afternoon after school, her voice full of excitement. "You've been talking about it for years, and you deserve to have fun. I'll help you find a dress, and we'll make it the best night ever." Lily hesitated, biting her lip as she thought about it. The pressure to go was building, but so was the fear. The last thing she wanted was to show up and be the butt of every joke. She could already imagine Emma's cruel laugh and her friends whispering behind their hands. What if she wasn't pretty enough? What if no one cared she was even there? It seemed like a nightmare waiting to happen. "I don't know, Em. What if I don't fit in? What if they laugh at me?" Lily's voice was soft, hesitant, but Emily didn't let her off the hook. "You're overthinking it," Emily said, giving her a reassuring smile. "You're gorgeous, Lily. And besides, I'll be there with you. You're not alone in this." Still the doubts lingered. Lily had never been one for attention, and the thought of standing out at prom in front of everyone was terrifying. And then there was the dress. It wasn't just about picking something that fit, it was about making sure it was right. She knew Emma and her friends would have the latest, most expensive gowns, and here Lily was, unsure of even where to begin. She spent days browsing through stores and websites, but nothing felt like it would be enough. She imagined showing up in something that wasn't trendy enough, something that would make the popular girls roll their eyes and whisper behind her back. Flashbacks of past moments haunted her. She remembered the school dance auditions in sophomore year. Emma had made fun of her then too. "Look at you, Lily," Emma had sneered, eyes scanning her from head to toe. "You're too awkward for this. Maybe try sitting this one out." The cruel words still stung, and Lily had spent weeks avoiding the dance floor after that. The memory of being humiliated in front of her peers made her feel small all over again. But despite her self-doubt, Lily's quiet determination grew. She knew she couldn't hide forever. Prom was a rite of passage, and this time, maybe she could finally experience it for herself. Maybe it would be different. Maybe, just maybe, she could show up and feel confident for once, even if she had to fake it. She wasn't going to let Emma and her friends control her life anymore. She would go to prom, and she would go with her head held high. But as the days passed, Lily couldn't shake the nagging feeling that Emma and her friends were already planning to make fun of her. they would find anything to criticize, especially if she showed up in something that wasn't in style. Lily had seen how Emma and her group had a way of tearing people down, and she feared that tonight, it would be her turn to be the target. The night of prom arrived, and Lily stood in front of her mirror, her heart pounding in her chest. She wasn't sure what she expected to feel, but it certainly wasn't this, a strange mix of excitement and dread. She wore a simple yet elegant dress, a soft lavender gown that gently cascaded to the floor, modest yet graceful. It wasn't flashy or trendy like the dresses the popular girls would wear, but Lily had chosen it for its understated beauty. As she smoothed the fabric, she couldn't help but feel a small sense of pride. She looked nice. Not perfect, but nice. Emily, as always, was there to help Lily with the final touches, adjusting her hair, and offering a smile of encouragement. "You look amazing," Emily said, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "I'm so glad you came. This is your night too." Lily offered a nervous smile in return. "Thanks, Em, I just hope I don't make a fool of myself." "You won't," Emily assured her, pulling her into a quick hug. "Let's go. It's prom night." Together they left the house and arrived at the venue, a large ballroom adorned with twinkling lights and colorful decorations. The air was thick with anticipation, and students filled the room in their best outfits, laughing and chatting with friends. But for Lily, each step felt heavier as she entered, her nerves tightening with every passing second. It didn't take long for the mean girls to spot her. As soon as she walked through the door with Emily, she felt their eyes on her, their judgmental stares burning into her. Emma, the leader of the group, made no attempt to hide her sneer. Her friends, Mia and Chloe, were quick to join in, whispering behind their hands and giggling. "Look at Lily," Emma said loud enough for Lily to hear, her voice dripping with mockery. "What is she wearing? That dress is so outdated, I didn't know the theme was vintage disaster." Lily's face flushed, and her heart dropped to her stomach. The words stung more than she cared to admit, but she refused to let them show. She straightened her back, kept her gaze ahead, and walked past them without acknowledging the cruel remarks. She could feel the tension in the air, but she didn't let it break her resolve. Emily shot a quick, protective glance at the mean girls, but Lily just shook her head, signaling that she was fine. She didn't want to let their words ruin her night. The night dragged on, and the more Lily tried to blend in, the more she felt out of place. She found herself standing alone near the punch table, sipping on a drink while watching the other students laughing and dancing on the floor. The popular kids moved in a perfect synchronized rhythm, their laughter ringing through the room, as if they were the center of the universe. Lily, on the other hand, felt like a shadow, unnoticed and unimportant. Every time she tried to engage with someone, the conversation seemed to shift away from her, as if no one really cared to hear what she had to say. Her self-doubt crept in again, and she was once more that girl who never seemed to belong, but as she stood there, something unexpected happened. The longer Lily observed, the more she realized that the people she had always thought were so perfect, weren't all that perfect after all. There were whispers among the popular girls too, gossiping about this one's dress, that one's hair, and Emma's flirtations with a boy who didn't seem to notice her. The laughter that once seemed so carefree now felt shallow, hollow. Lily felt a strange sense of freedom. She didn't have to conform to their standards, didn't have to keep up with their expectations. She was here because she wanted to be. And in that moment, she realized something: her worth wasn't tied to whether Emma or anyone else liked her, or approved of her. For the first time she understood that she was enough, just as she was. Despite feeling like a ghost in the corner, there was a flicker of strength in her, that she had never known before. She wasn't invisible to herself anymore, even if she felt invisible to everyone else. The music swirled around her, and though she still felt out of place, she wasn't going to let Emma or anyone else take away this moment. She would be here, she would stand tall, even if only for herself. Lily glanced over at Emily, who was chatting with a group of her friends, and gave her a small smile. She could do this. Tonight was hers too. Lily stepped outside the ballroom, seeking a moment of peace, away from the noise and pressure of the crowded prom. The cool night air felt like a balm on her skin, calming her nerves as she walked along the edge of the venue. She needed a break from the bright lights and the harsh whispers, and for the first time that night, she found solace in the quiet. The chaos of the prom was still echoing in her mind, but here, outside, she felt like she could breathe again. Just as she was about to lean against a pillar to collect her thoughts, a voice called out to her. "Hey, you okay?" Lily turned to see a small group of students standing near the steps, their faces friendly and open. They weren't the popular crowd, nor did they have that polished, effortless air that made the mean girls so formidable. Instead, they looked like a group of people who didn't fit into the high school hierarchy. People who, like Lily, had always been overlooked. One of them, a shy-looking boy with messy brown hair and glasses, stepped forward. His name was Jake. She recognized him from a few of her classes. He was quiet, just like her, always sitting at the back of the room, never drawing attention. "Are you all right?" Jake asked again, his voice kind but not forceful. Lily felt a wave of gratitude wash over her. It was rare for anyone to check on her, and even rarer for someone to do so with such genuine kindness. She nodded, a shy smile tugging at her lips. "Yeah, just needed a break from all the noise." "I get it," another girl in the group, Amanda, said with a knowing smile. "This place can be overwhelming. Come hang out with us for a bit. It's much quieter out here." Lily hesitated for a moment, her insecurities creeping back up. What if she didn't fit in with them either? What if they were just being polite? But then, she looked at their kind faces. There was no judgment in their eyes, no competition. They weren't here to play games, or make anyone feel small, they just wanted to be. She took a deep breath and walked over to join them, feeling the weight of the evening lift slightly. As they talked, they laughed about the ridiculousness of high school drama, the stress of exams, and what life would be like after graduation. It felt so different from the way things usually were. There were no pretenses, no talk of popularity or beauty. It was just people, talking about real things. Jake, in particular, made her feel at ease. He shared stories about how he'd always been the quiet kid, and how he too had been overlooked by most of the school. "It's like we're invisible sometimes," he said with a quiet chuckle, "but I guess that means we get to make our own rules." Lily laughed along with him, surprised by how comfortable she felt in this group of people who, like her, didn't try to fit into anyone's mold. They were content in their own skin, unbothered by the pressure of being perfect or popular. The conversation flowed easily, and for the first time that night, Lily felt like she belonged somewhere. As the night went on, Lily's confidence began to grow. It wasn't about changing who she was, it was about embracing the parts of herself that she'd always hidden. She realized that she didn't need anyone's approval to be happy or to feel good about herself. The people around her, people like Jake and Amanda, had shown her that there was more to life than the judgments and expectations of high school. With a newfound sense of peace, Lily stood up, brushing off the lingering insecurities that had held her back for so long. "I think I'm ready to go back in," she said, her voice stronger now. "It's prom night, after all. I deserve to enjoy it." The group cheered her on, and Lily made her way back into the ballroom, feeling lighter, more self-assured. As soon as she re-entered the venue, the music shifted. The upbeat dance track was replaced by a slow, romantic melody that filled the room with a new energy. Couples on the floor swayed gently to the music, and Lily couldn't help but smile at the change in atmosphere. She wasn't sure what to expect, but for the first time tonight, she felt like she might actually be able to enjoy the rest of the evening. It wasn't long before a few students noticed her, their eyes lighting up with genuine admiration. She wasn't sure what had changed, but there was something different about how they looked at her now, something that wasn't based on appearance or popularity, but on her presence. They saw her, they noticed her. And it wasn't because she was the perfect picture of beauty, but because of something deeper, something in the way she carried herself, in the way she had finally stepped into her own. And then, to her surprise, Jake walked up to her. "Would you like to dance?" he asked, his voice shy but sincere. Lily's heart skipped a beat. She had always imagined this moment in a different light, some handsome popular guy asking her to dance. But here she was, with Jake, someone who saw her for who she really was, someone who didn't care about the surface-level things that everyone else seemed obsessed with. She smiled, nodding as she held out her hand. "I'd love to," she said, feeling a warmth spread through her chest. As they swayed together on the dance floor, Lily felt an overwhelming sense of freedom. She didn't need anyone else's approval to feel beautiful or worthy. She didn't need to fit into anyone's mold to feel like she belonged. This moment, right here, was hers. And for the first time in a long time, she realized that she had transformed, not just in the way she looked, but in the way she felt about herself. She was enough, just as she was. As Lily danced with Jake, her heart felt lighter than it had in years. The soft romantic music swirled around them, and for the first time in a long time, she felt truly free. Her hands rested gently on Jake's shoulders, and his hands were steady on her waist, guiding her through the slow rhythm. She no longer felt like the awkward, invisible girl in the corner. There, in that moment, she was the girl who had found her confidence, her worth, who had finally embraced herself. But across the room, Emma and her friends were watching. They had been laughing and gossiping with the other students, but their eyes kept flicking back to Lily and Jake. The shift in attention was hard for Emma to ignore. She had always been the center of attention, the one everyone admired and feared, but now, all eyes seemed to be on Lily, and it ate away at Emma's carefully constructed image. "Look at her," Emma muttered to Mia and Chloe, her voice dripping with disdain. "What is she even doing? Who does she think she is?" Mia and Chloe giggled, but there was an unease in their laughter. They could see it too, the way Lily had transformed from the quiet, timid girl into someone who no longer seemed to care about their opinions. "She's just trying to get attention," Chloe said, but her tone lacked the usual venom. Emma clenched her jaw, feeling threatened by the sight of Lily standing tall and confident on the dance floor. Unable to resist, she stepped forward, determined to make a cutting remark to remind everyone who was supposed to be the queen of the prom. "Isn't this cute?" Emma called out, loud enough for the crowd to hear. "The shy little nobody thinks she's the star of the show. Maybe it's time for her to remember where she belongs, on the sidelines, not the dance floor." For a moment, the room fell silent, and everyone turned toward Emma, waiting for the inevitable reactions. But to Emma's shock, something unexpected happened. Instead of people laughing or joining in with her, a murmur spread through the crowd. One of the students from the group Lily had been talking to earlier, Amanda, spoke up first. "Emma, you've been bullying people for years. It's time someone said it out loud." A few more voices joined in, one by one. "Yeah, we're all tired of how you treat people like Lily. You think it's funny to make others feel small, but it's not." Lily felt a sense of shock wash over her. For years, Emma had controlled the school with her cruel comments and her popularity. Lily had always felt powerless in front of her, but now, as she looked around, she saw that the crowd's attention had shifted. The whispers about Emma were louder now, people were standing up, calling out her behavior. The room was no longer swayed by Emma's charm, and her grip on the crowd seemed to be slipping. Emily, who had been watching from the sidelines, walked toward Lily, her voice strong. "You don't get to talk down to people anymore, Emma. Lily is stronger than you think." Jake, still holding Lily's hand, stepped forward as well. "And we're all done letting you get away with it. We've had enough." Lily's heart raced, but this time it wasn't from fear. It was from the power she now felt, the power to stand up for herself and for others. She took a deep breath, and with a steadiness she hadn't known she was capable of, spoke up. "You don't get to define me anymore, Emma. You don't get to bully me or anyone else." Lily said, her voice clear and firm. "I'm not your punching bag, and I never will be." The crowd was silent for a moment, but then came the applause. A ripple of cheers spread through the room as people began to realize the truth in Lily's words. Emma's face flushed with anger, but it was too late. The power had shifted. The students were no longer interested in the queen bee of the school, they were more interested in the girl who had found her voice and wasn't afraid to use it. Lily turned to Jake and Emily, feeling a sense of gratitude for the support she had received. In this moment, she knew she wasn't alone. She had found her strength, and in doing so, she had shown others that they too didn't have to accept the toxic dynamics of high school. The night had begun with Lily feeling like an outsider, but it had transformed into something much bigger. She wasn't just a shy girl anymore, she was someone who stood up for herself, and that made all the difference. As the confrontation with Emma and her friends settled, it became clear that Emma's once unshakable hold over the crowd had crumbled. Her face flushed with humiliation as she realized the power she had used to control people was now slipping away. In a huff, she turned, trying to make a quick exit from the ballroom. But before she could leave, the principal, who had overheard the exchange, stepped in front of her. "Emma," he said sternly, his voice carrying across the room. "I think it's time we have a talk. It's about time you learned that bullying is never acceptable, no matter who you think you are." Emma's eyes widened, but there was nothing she could say. She had lost her grip. The room watched as she was escorted out of the venue, the last traces of her power fading into the night. Meanwhile, Lily stood tall, a quiet sense of pride bubbling inside her. For the first time, she wasn't hiding or shrinking away. She had confronted her fear head-on, and the victory was hers. The rest of the night was filled with laughter and joy. Lily danced freely with Emily and Jake, her movements unburdened by the weight of judgment. She was herself, unapologetically. As the final song played, she took a moment to reflect. This night had been about more than just dancing. It was about realizing that she didn't need anyone's approval to feel good about who she was. Lily walked out of the venue with a smile, her heart light. She knew, deep down, that her true beauty was found in her kindness, her strength, and the confidence she had finally discovered in herself. Lily's transformation wasn't just physical, it was a shift in how she saw herself. For years, she had believed that her worth was defined by the opinions of others, especially the popular kids like Emma. But tonight, she learned that her true value didn't come from external approval, it came from within. Emma and her friends' cruelty no longer held the same power over her. They faded into the background, as Lily's self-respect and confidence shone brighter than any moment of mockery. The popular girls, who once made her feel invisible, were now a distant memory, their judgments irrelevant. The night had been a turning point for Lily. She no longer needed validation from others to feel worthy. She had embraced who she was, flaws and all, and in doing so, had found a beauty that wasn't based on appearance but on strength and authenticity. This story is a reminder that true confidence comes from self-acceptance, not from meeting society's standards or seeking approval. It's about knowing your worth and standing tall, no matter what others say. Lily's journey was one of self-love, a journey that led her to realize that she was, and always had been, enough. Thank you so much for watching Lily's incredible journey of self-discovery. Her story is a powerful reminder that true beauty comes from within, and that confidence, kindness, and strength are what really make us shine. We hope you found inspiration in her transformation, and we'd love to hear your thoughts on this story. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and share it with your friends. Your support means the world to us. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe, so you never miss a story full of heart, inspiration, and real-life moments. We'd love to know, what part of Lily's journey resonated with you the most? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next story.